Don't look at your inadequacies. Don't look at your failings. Don't look even at the consequences of the mistakes that may surround you right now. Look at the Lord, because when you are called to face your consequences, you don't face them alone. You face them with the power of God, and He's able to transform everything. God's love is His power. God's love is His power, and that power has the ability to drive a stake through the heart of any devil that would try and control your life. You may say, that sounds great, but you don't know my life. No, but God does. And He can transform it based on that promise of John 3:17. He came into the world not to condemn the world, but to transform it. And that's the message He wants to bring to you. You can be forgiven. You can live with a clean slate, beginning to live afresh. Yes, you're going to face the consequences of your actions, but you face them with a God who never lets you walk alone. One of my favorite verses is 2 Corinthians 5:17. If you look at it in the Living Bible translation, this is what it says. When someone becomes a Christian, he or she becomes a brand new person inside. He's not the same anymore. A new life has begun. God is able to take all of our weaknesses and use them in ways that we never believed possible. I read of this incident in Hawaii about a young man who was involved in a severe car accident. And in that car accident, after surgery, he lost completely his left arm. As you can imagine, he was thrust into deep depression, and his father, trying to get him out of the depression, said, "Son, what is it that I can do for you? How can I help you?" And the boy said to his father, he said, "Dad, well, I'd like to take judo lessons. I've heard that you can do judo with only one arm." And so the father got him a sensei, a teacher, to teach him judo. And after learning the basic elements of judo, the sensei concentrated on one move, teaching this boy one move over and over and over again. Day after day, week after week, until after 2.5 months, the sensei, the teacher, said to the young man, he said, "We're going to enter a tournament." And the young man looked at his teacher and said, "You've got to be out of your mind. You're kidding. I've only been studying judo for 2.5 months. I only have one arm. My left arm is gone. How is it possible for me to go into a tournament?" But they did. The young man went to the tournament. He won the first round. He won the second round. He won the third round. He couldn't believe it, and he went round after round until he ended up in the finals, going against the state champion for judo at that level. And he won. And on the way home, he said to the sensei, he said, "Hey, I just don't understand it." He said, "How's it possible? I've only been doing judo for 2.5 months. I only know one move. How is it possible that I could have beaten the champion of the state?" And his teacher, the sensei, looked at him and said, "You won for 2 reasons. The first is, the one move you know is the most effective move in all of judo. And the second one is this: the only effective opposition to that move is by grasping your opponent's left arm, and you don't have a left arm." You see the application for us? What we look at what we have lost, God simply looks at what we have left, and He looks at those things which are our weaknesses. And He says, "In my power, I can take you and I can transform you, and I can enable you to live in ways that you thought were impossible before." I want you, he says, to focus on this tremendous verse from the Apostle Paul, Ephesians 3:20, where he says this: God is able. Believe it in your circumstance. God is able to do exceedingly abundantly beyond what we ask, desire, or even dream of, according to the mighty power that works within us. Do you see the transforming power that can have in your life? You don't have to live condemned by yourself, by your circumstance, by other people. Rather, you are called to be transformed by the almighty power of God. I'll be right back. I hope that message really had an impact in your life as you're able to see how God can use your circumstance to begin to change it into the kind of life He wants you to experience. You see the telephone number on the screen. You also see the address. And I would ask you to give me a call, send me a letter, and let me know how this program impacted your life today. I know from the experience of a number of people who write in, telling me their stories, asking me for their prayers, that they really need the power of God to change them. They really need the forgiving experience of God to cleanse them from their circumstance so their life can be really renewed. You have this opportunity to experience God's power. You may think in your circumstance, no, I'm too low for God ever to deal with me in a creative way. But what I'm challenging you to do today is to stand on that promise of God where He says so clearly, I sent my Son into the world not to condemn it, not to condemn you, but that through the power of my Son, you may be transformed. There are so many scriptures in the Bible that I would encourage you to look at, focus on, and really begin to see how God's power can become alive in your own life. Whatever your situation, phone me, write me, let me know how this program has affected you. And as we pray together, as you are ministered to by some of our prayer team, you will see that that power can work within you, change you, and really enable you to live at your potential. God sent His Son into the world, not to condemn the world, but that through Him, the world might be changed. That message is for you. It's enabling you to transform yourself to become the person God meant you to be. God bless you richly.
Mount up on wings as eagles, run and not be weary. They shall walk and never faint. They shall walk and never faint. They shall walk